Generating traffic and sales can be a challenge for online merchants. But selling on the Walmart Marketplace puts your products in front of millions of customers who shop on Walmart.com. And right now, sellers who join Walmart Marketplace can save up to 50% on referral and fulfillment fees for the first 90 days. So get started today. Head over to marketplace.walmart.com/savings. That's marketplace.walmart.com/savings.
Welcome to E-commerce Conversations, a weekly podcast focusing on e-commerce topics featuring interviews with prominent people in the e-commerce space.
Welcome to E-commerce Conversations by Practical E-commerce. My name is Kerry Murdoch. The notion of combining an online marketplace with a payment platform, a shopping cart, and a robust back end is not new. But when the marketplace is eBay, the payment platform is PayPal, the cart is Magento, and the back end is X.commerce, that is news. eBay calls this new collaboration X.commerce. Its general manager is Matthew Mengerink, and he joins us today. Well, Matthew, thank you for your time today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, Kerry.
Matthew, we're here today to talk about X.commerce. You're the general manager of eBay's new X.commerce initiative. And my first question for you today, Matthew, is what is X.commerce?
Yeah. And as a small side, we usually pronounce the dot, X.commerce.
Okay.
X.commerce is a new division that's trying to address what we observe as a sort of macro trend. What we've observed is that consumers, more than ever before, are embracing technology as the way they shop. People have talked about M-commerce and E-commerce and T-commerce and S-commerce and the like, and for us, all of those things have sort of disappeared, and now it's just commerce embraces technology. I've got 5 children, and my oldest is 14. When she's shopping in the mall, she's shopping as much with her eyes as she is her mobile phone. We'll be there and she'll take a picture of something, text a friend to see if they like it. She's done the research before on the computer. If she doesn't buy it at the store, she'll go home, see if she wants to buy it elsewhere. Sometimes she scans and scrams right from the store itself. So what we're seeing is that regardless of whether or not people want technology in their store, the consumers are driving it. Now, meanwhile, if we look at just the last 3 years, we went from no iPhone, no App Store, to dominant smartphones, iPads, iPods, Android, operating system, all of these things exploding onto the field, the promise of HTML5 coming in. And merchants, when they look at that investment, just trying to keep up, let alone get ahead, it's pretty intimidating. Now, what we recognize is that we have all of these assets within eBay Inc. that we're a little bit trapped, and that since we don't compete with our merchants, we could come in and help them grow. So what we want to do is we want to take our partners, this open network of developers, and all the assets or capabilities of eBay Inc., wrap them up nicely, and create an ecosystem where the merchants can tap into that technology and stay on the technical horizon. And if we look at that, what we really want to have merchants say is, if I use this ecosystem, if I'm a part of this platform, a part of this commerce operating system, I'm at the cutting edge. And all of my R&D budget then can be focused on a unique and valuable consumer experience or some sort of differentiated product which is unique to me. Or put differently, merchants can go back to being merchants.
When was X.commerce started? X.commerce.
Thank you. We had X.com that started as an initiative within PayPal, where we, quote, opened up PayPal to our developer community. That started 2 years ago. Actually, right around 2.5 now. When we did this, the developers were really excited. I mean, here was finally an open payments platform. But what they came back and said was, wow, in order to actually help merchants, in order to create even a great experience ourselves, we kind of need a little bit more. And just by listening to them at the beginning of this year, actually we started on January 23rd, we decided that we needed to go well beyond payments and open up all of eBay Inc. So that's where I'd say we went from the X.com to X.commerce and said it's way beyond payments. It has to be the full stack. And we have to help in every way, shape, or form we can really help our merchants get ahead.
So a merchant listening to this, that merchant is on a platform. Let's say the merchant is on a hosted platform, and they're listening to what you're saying. What do they migrate to if they want to be on the X.commerce platform, if I could say that? Does that mean they go to a Magento cart?
That's something they could do. Now, what's really important to understand is other carts, other platforms winning doesn't necessarily mean we lose. We care mostly about PayPal, eBay, and GSI growing. And we believe that the best way for that to happen is to serve our merchants and help them with their growth. So first and foremost, we maniacally focus on how fast and how successful our merchants are. And in that, what I'd say is, if they wanted to come to Magento, that's a great platform. It's a future-proof platform. Fantastic. But if they're with a competitive cart, or if they are on a different platform, if they've customized it themselves, migration is an expensive thing, and that might not actually help them grow in the moment. So we also offer all of these services a la carte. And folks who consider themselves competitors of Magento, which we might not look at them that way, are welcome to come in and to use the services we provide through the X.commerce platform, to integrate it in, to help them, because as they help them, they are also helping the merchants, and that goes to our primary mission.
Does a merchant hire a developer if the merchant wants to work with X.commerce?
So there's various offerings that we have that go from the mom and pop seller, where they could use Magento Go and create a storefront themselves. And that's through a configuration interface. They could have a basic storefront with a lot of capabilities without any help from any technologist. Now, oftentimes merchants have existing inventory management systems. They have a desire to customize and to get ahead. And in that circumstance, we recommend that they find a system integrator or a developer from within our developer network to partner with and to push their products or their experience further ahead. Now, it's really important to note here that these aren't going to be eBay Inc. employees. They are not X.commerce employees. We don't want to go into the professional service division. We want to have this be an open network where the developers who are making the money are the external developers. That when it's an ecosystem, that creates a market for the merchants where they can have the developers competing, so they'll get the best price for the best product that they possibly could get.
The promotional material, Matthew, as I look through X.commerce, the explanations for that platform or that service says it's largely comprised, of course, of eBay, PayPal, Magento, and GSI Commerce. Could you explain the roles of those entities and how you envision those entities kind of coming together for a greater whole, if I could phrase it that way?
Absolutely. First and foremost, we have to look at the mission of eBay Inc., which is connecting buyers and sellers. And everything we do these days is focused on that. When we look at this X.commerce, this is bringing the developers in as the customer and helping them take these pieces in a brand respectful way to the merchant. Now, when we look at what they offer, eBay Marketplace brings 100 million consumers globally distributed. So it's an important component in this multi-channel world that we're seeing today. If we look at GSI, they provide wonderful services to large-scale merchants. If we look at PayPal, it's the number one online payment mechanism, which brings people extra reach and lift, as well as protecting them from the fraud that exists in commerce. So behind that, then there's a bunch more logos and brands. Where, Milo, Red Laser, Zong, Magento. We have all of these acquisitions that we've done, each one of them with some fantastic commerce assets. So the way to look at it is that these major properties have all these capabilities that they're now providing to the merchants to help with distribution, worldwide capabilities, and really address the mega trends of social, local, mobile, and digital. And these companies are going to continue to invest in the technology and then provide that technology through X.commerce to these merchants. So I would say that they have the primary assets, but we can't forget that there are other partners that we look at, like Adobe, Tenshu, Terapeak, Facebook, and others, that are also going to be contributing an amazing amount to this technology stack and providing it to the developers. And even those developers, we see 4,800 apps on Magento that are available for people to use, 2,000 applications on PayPal, and half of the listings of eBay come through APIs. So really, you're talking about this just rich network of experience. I would say that the cornerstones do end up being Facebook, or I'm sorry, the Magento, GSI, eBay, and PayPal.
What is you alluded to the services of GSI. For our audience, tell us what GSI does.
GSI does a very interesting thing where they take large merchants online. So they do the capital investment to bring a merchant's inventory online, to synchronize it, to sort of bring them into the internet. And then additionally, they do the sales component, the marketing, the fulfillment of the products behind those merchants. So they have a large service capability that's full stack. Now, the larger merchants oftentimes really appreciate the context and expertise that GSI brings, and fundamentally they all love the fact that GSI only makes money based on them making money. So large service, large merchants, and that full internet capability is what GSI brings.
Matthew, eBay has invested in X.commerce presumably to make money. How will eBay benefit from all this? Or eBay corporate, the company?
Fundamentally, and again, this is beyond everything else, it's about helping the ecosystem to grow. And we believe with large growth of our retailers, those ones we don't compete against, that we can derive success. As eBay helps bring people global, as we bring that 100 million consumers to them, well, there's listing fees and there's final value fees that we make, and that's sharing in that growth. There are transactional costs of PayPal, and then the service fees of GSI. As X.commerce works to help merchants grow, we hope, we don't insist, but we hope that they'll end up using those large services of eBay Inc. Again, definitively seeing that we're providing huge value, and that if they look at the cost to value, that they net out a huge win. But it's mutually reinforcing, and that's a win for our company as well. So while there may be hosting fees, there may be some fees for rev shares that we have with our developers on X.commerce, our primary focus is how do we grow and scale our three core businesses, and how do we do it in a way that the developers and the merchants external to eBay Inc. both say, this is the best possible thing that we could have helped have happen or have hoped for. They're helping us grow our business, or if they're the developer, they're helping us connect to the merchants and to help them make a living.
Matthew, a point that some observers may make on X.commerce, if I could play devil's advocate with you here for a sec. A point that some folks would say might go something like this. The trend towards e-commerce for many online merchants is all-in-one solutions, great customer support, everything in a single ecosystem that's much simpler than the old days of, or the earlier days of, separate, finding a host, finding a cart, finding a security certificate, etc., etc. You could say that X.commerce goes against that grain, in that it's more complicated, in that merchants likely have to hire a developer, which I can't tell you how many merchants we've talked to here that have been in conflicts with their developers. Does X.commerce go against the grain with sort of these all-in-one solutions?
Yes and no. So definitively against the grain of getting locked in to a single platform. Another thing some merchants might tell you is once they've invested in a platform, they're stuck. And if that platform doesn't keep up with the innovation, then their business starts to fail. So they have to be able to be nimble. They have to be able to adapt. And one of the recognitions we have is that no single company can do that anymore. There's no such thing as the Uber technology company that provides all solutions successfully across the megatrends and across this industry. So an open platform that allows developers to innovate is mission critical. Now, we did recognize that being able to have a simple interface, a simple starting point, is also critical. And that's why we talk about this being a commerce operating system. It gives you the basis on which to build your business, but also the flexibility. And we've taken it a step further by looking at the contributions of our competing partners and developers within our ecosystem and challenge them to make it so that you can, quote, click on or click off in innovation. If I want to extend my platform, I go to the App Store. For example, there's a drop shipping app for $1,000 that will turn your store into a drop ship manageable store, external code. But if you stopped liking that service, or you felt like that developer wasn't keeping up with his updates to the innovation needs that the business has, at any time if somebody else came in, you could click a button and turn it off, click another button and turn on a competitor. So now the developers don't have a lock-in. A developer doesn't have a relationship with a merchant where they're holding them hostage with their technology because the costs are so great. Instead, we're looking at it saying you have the ease of a single platform, but you have the wonderful competition and the flexibility of quickly and cheaply mixing and matching the technology that's out there so you can stay cutting edge. And we really don't think that there's another strategy which works.
Let's shift gears just for a sec and talk about Facebook. How will you be integrating with Facebook? What are PayPal's plans with Facebook?
So Facebook is an amazing partner, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for Mark and what his company's been able to do in the world. I would be remiss if I were to steal the thunder of Katie Middick, who's going to present on October 12th on our Innovate conference. So suffice it to say, we'll have to wait for her to tell the world exactly how we're working together. But let me just say that social is absolutely an important aspect of the future. It's a critical trend, and it's very clear that Facebook is the leader, and that the combination of social and commerce is an extraordinarily promising space.
So for purposes of this interview, we could say there's big news with PayPal and Facebook on October 12th. Is that fair?
That's a very fair statement.
Okay, fair enough. Matthew, we have just a couple of minutes left here, and I want to get to the upcoming Innovate Developers Conference that your organization is putting on. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, this is the culmination of the year's work that we've done. which is creating the technical components, creating an operating system, which we call the X Fabric, and ensuring that as developers and merchants come together, that they can very simply understand how they fit in to what we've created. The fact of the matter is in order to be flexible enough to provide a solution for a single seller on eBay all the way to a Fortune 500 company on GSI, there's a complex space. At the Innovate conference, with our demos, with our training courses and the like, we'll show each merchant where they fit into the ecosystem and how they can benefit. And fundamentally, as this is a developers conference, we're going to show the developers exactly how they can monetize their efforts and how they can connect with this merchant community. Just as a single example, if we look at the creation of a smartphone application, I've read one report that said that it's about $12,500 on average a year that a developer makes. Arguably, you could make more money flipping burgers than you could being an application developer. If we look at the Forrester report on X.commerce in the Magento space, the developers there are making $1 billion a year. $1 billion a year made by the developers in this community. And that's doing these integrations. And if you look at how we monetize, again, for each dollar that Magento makes, we're seeing on average $20 being made by the developers in the community. So really showing the developers how viable a business that they can create, and what a tremendously exciting opportunity commerce is today. For all of the innovations, for all the great things that we have out in the industry, it's just started. The demand from the consumers is so huge, and at Innovate we hope to show those developers, here's where you fit in, here's how you can help the merchants grow, and we hope to give some insight to the merchants that says, look, this is an exciting opportunity to stay current with a massively reduced cost where your R&D is focused on staying competitive in your space.
So quickly tell us the dates for that conference and where it's located and how listeners can learn more about it.
Thank you. It's October 12th and 13th at the Moscone Center in San Francisco. It's very easy to go to X.com, and there's a link to the registration right there. And we're very excited about seeing as many developers and merchants as we can at the hall.
Great. Last word is yours, Matthew. Anything else on your mind today for our listeners who are principally merchants?
One of the things that just constantly bounces through my head is this notion that eBay Inc. is really aspiring to be that technology partner for merchants and developers. That we have fundamentally built into our DNA the notion that we don't compete. We don't sell against our merchants. And that we provide the opportunities for our developers as opposed to trying to compete with them either. The aspiration, if there's something great that comes out of the work that I'm doing today, it's really creating an ecosystem where merchants worldwide say, you know, this was a turning point for commerce. This is where it became easier and cheaper to keep up, and we finally had that open network we needed in order to differentiate and get ahead in an ever-increasing technology backdrop. That would be it.
Okay. Well, for purposes of our listeners, we've been visiting with Matthew Minjerick. Matthew is General Manager of X.commerce. X.commerce being eBay's new initiative, which partners or collaborates the eBay platform, PayPal, Magento, GSI Commerce, and other partners, bringing those companies together. That's X.commerce. The website there is X.com. And Matthew Minjerick, thank you for your time today, sir.
Terry, thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's all the time we have for this week's e-commerce conversation. I hope you enjoyed it. Please tune in next week for another new episode.